Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Ramirez, and I'm really excited to welcome you and to teach 1303 Introduction to the Arts. What I'm going to do in this video is explain how to navigate our asynchronous class. I'll talk about the syllabus and the application called Slack, and I'll also address some of the major assignments. So as you can see with the screen, we're starting off in Canvas, and your syllabus is linked here. It's linked in the on the sidebar where it says syllabus, and I've also posted it into announcements. So go ahead and click on that syllabus. It's really best to view it with a laptop or a desktop. If you try to view the syllabus on a phone, you're going to lose some detail, and that also goes for the artwork. You really need a laptop or a desktop for this class. Okay, so what I want to begin with is the fact that the course is asynchronous. This means that we do not have a set time or hour to meet, but we do have a day when all assignments are due, and that day is on Saturday. There are a couple of exceptions to that, and I will talk about those as we go through the syllabus. So the syllabus is organized with a course description, and then there's a calendar of assignments. Let me go ahead and begin with this course description. So we will examine in this class developments in music and art during the medieval, Renaissance, Baroque, and classical periods. The medieval period is roughly 1000 to 1400s. Renaissance is late 1400s to the 1500s. The Baroque and classical period is roughly the 1600s and 1700s. And we will conclude our survey with selected works from the 19th century, so that's the 1800s. Through the study of art and music, we step back in time. We'll investigate how composers and singers convey messages, tell stories, and evoke moods through music. Correspondingly, we'll explore how painters and illustrators represent life, express feelings, and communicate ideas through their art. We begin the course with study of medieval music. We'll focus on terms such as a cappella, drone, chant, and troubadour. In our engagement with medieval art, we'll examine the production of manuscripts. In our exploration of the Renaissance, we'll observe the continued influence of Christianity in the late 1400s to the 1600s, especially artwork featuring the Virgin Mary, Christ, and mystical moments in their lives. In listening to music from the Renaissance, we'll attend to polyphonic compositions and the use of word painting. In our study of the Baroque and classical period, we'll observe the revival of ideals and concepts from ancient Greece and Rome, such as symmetry and balance. We'll also learn to recognize the artist's and composers' appreciation of nature in the concertos by Vivaldi and the colorful, detailed, and rich work of female naturalist Maria Merian. In the Baroque period, again, that's roughly the 1600s and 1700s, we'll learn to identify the interweaving of instruments in the concertos of Vivaldi and the fugues of Bach. And by the last week of class, this 8-week class, we should have a good foundation to examine works of art and music from the 1800s, with particular attention to Chopin and Impressionist painters such as Renoir and Monet. Our studies will prepare us to appreciate contemporary forms of music and art. The class is organized with student presentations as well as student drawings of objects that help us understand the fundamentals of design. Our quizzes assess student understanding of the history of art and music, and they may involve comparison of two different works or composers. So, as you navigate the syllabus, go ahead and take a good look at those course learning outcomes. There are outcomes for the study of music, and then there are also outcomes for the study of art. What I want to begin by saying as we prepare to examine some of the assignments is that we do not need to be musicians or singers to succeed in this class, and we don't have to be artists or painters to succeed in our study of art. Instead, what this class does is it should inspire a sense of appreciation for music and art. So in terms of technology, again, I strongly recommend a laptop or desktop to view the readings and also the images of the artwork. You'll need some sort of application to play music, which is available on YouTube, or it's a link that's embedded in our textbook. You should have a Google account to view the syllabus, and that's free, and a Slack account, which is also free. Most of you have already joined Slack, so well done, and just a couple of you need to join. The course materials are all free and online, and I really try my best to make sure that textbooks are affordable and easily accessible. So I did a lot of research to try to find readings and works of art that we could just access with a click of the button. Okay, so let me go ahead and review the syllabus. I'm going to move my image over here a little bit if I can to get the whole syllabus. So in week 1, which is this week, what we're doing is we're reading How Music Makes Sense, and we're also reading the Introduction to Art. I also would like you all to look at the sample presentations. And those sample presentations are really critical because each of you will present in our class, and you'll present once on music and once on art. So again, another assignment is to join Slack, and there's the link. You'll also introduce yourself. Many of you have already done that. Thank you. And then in a handwritten reflection, I'd like to know in about 350 words what you already know about art and music. And you'll post the photo to Slack. So Slack is our forum, our application for our communications, and also for submission of work. I want to repeat that. Although you'll have reminders in Canvas, you'll actually submit your work on Slack. All right. In week 2, we're going to have our first set of presentations. Charnice is going to present on Hildegard von Bingen. Chanel will present on the lyrics of Beatrice de Dia. And Hildegard von Bingen is she was a composer of chants, and Beatrice de Dia was a troubadour. And so these are the resources for all of us to read, and then we're going to have these presentations. Now, the one thing I want to say about the presentations is, first, you'll post them on Slack, and also you will not use PDFs. If you use a PDF, then I'll ask you to resubmit it for credit. And also for presenters, Charnice and Chanel, you're going to actually post on July 17th. And why is that? It's because July 18th is Saturday, so we need these presentations before we discuss them on Saturday. And again, I've included a link on sample presentations so you know what they look like. Here's a sample biography. It's about 400 words. Talk about when an artist was born, what country, what kind of education, their famous works, any kind of interesting details about their life. And then here's one of the most important aspects of a presentation. You'll want to make sure that you ask questions for discussion. So that's a sample presentation on a biography. Here's a sample presentation on a poem, but we could use the same format to analyze lyrics of a song. So you'll want to focus on certain lyrics, maybe look at the choice of language, look at the imagery, look at what's repeated. Again, 400 words, and then again, you'll want to ask questions for discussion. Okay, so let's go back to that syllabus. And our first round of presentations will be in week 2 on the medieval era, the Middle Ages. We'll also have our first quiz, and the quiz is going to cover aspects of the syllabus, and then it will also include these readings, Music of the Middle Ages, and then also the introductory chapters. Okay, moving on to week 3, we're moving to our investigation of medieval art, and we're going to look at manuscripts, medieval manuscripts, which were very, very beautiful. And we've got, again, 2 presentations. Taniquia is going to present on the principles of design, and Heather will present on medieval manuscripts on this link. And here's principles of design. We also have our first studio, and what you're going to do is use a pencil, and you're going to copy one of the figures from Cantigas de Santa Maria, and that is right here. So you'll choose one of these plates and you'll copy it with pencil. And you'll submit that on Slack. In week 4, we're exploring the music of the Renaissance. Again, we're continuing with the music appreciation textbook. And this textbook includes the links to the featured composers, but I also just repeat them for your convenience here. And I've also included some lyrics to the song Flow My Tears. We continue with our presentations. Again, because our class assignments are due on Saturday, we need these presentations on July 31st. So Bree and Saron, you'll present your presentations to Slack on July 31st, and then we discuss those presentations on August 1st. We also have our second quiz. Week 5, we continue our study of the Renaissance with Renaissance art. We have another studio assignment, which is to draw your hand palm up. You do not want to trace your hand, but you want to look at your hand. Hands tell a story. Some of us have very nice, smooth hands. Some of us, like me, I have sort of rough hands because I use them a lot. I do a lot of landscaping and gardening. And so you can hold your hand in whatever position you want, so long as your palm is showing. You might want to also feature some of your nails. If you have some artwork in your nails, you can certainly feature that. But the idea is to make sure that you can hold that pose and you'll draw your hand with pencil. Moving on to week 6, we're now starting on the Baroque period. Again, we'll use that music appreciation textbook and we'll study the work of Vivaldi and Bach. Week 7, we are going to explore artwork from the 1600s, and we'll study the work of Maria Marion, who was a naturalist and had a very interesting life. And sort of in the spirit of the still life and illustrations of insects and flowers and plants, your studio is going to be to draw either 2 different flowers in a vase or 2 different fruits or 2 different vegetables, and you'll submit that on Slack using crayon. By the final course, we're in week 8, we're going to reflect on what we learned in this course on music and art, and you'll post that reflection here. We'll also wrap up our study of music and art with Chopin, and then I'll ask you to just reflect on which work of art best correlates with Chopin's waltz and nocturne. And so there's no right answer. It's just really, what does the music evoke for you? We're continuing to use the vocabulary. By this point, we'll be attentive to the use of instrument. In this case, for Chopin, it's a piano. Dynamics is how loud something is or how soft something is. A tempo is a speeding up of language or rhythm, or it's a slowing down. So that's tempo. And we'll also look at the evocation of mood. And then as we correlate with art, we'll look at the use of brushstrokes in Impressionist work, and again by Degas, Monet, and Renoir. Moving over to the application of Slack, again, this is where our communications take place, and each link has a particular function. So for example, you'll post your presentations where it says to post them. You'll reflect on what you know about the class in a particular channel. So make sure that you're posting work in the appropriate space. And again, you can reach out to me in a direct message on Slack, and I will also have office hours on Zoom. I really look forward to your contributions in the class, and I look forward to getting to know you all better. Thank you.